Today we're going to talk about the distributive property, hopefully a review topic for many of you. To use the distributive property, we distribute what is on the outside of the parentheses to everything that's on the inside of the parentheses using multiplication. Something to remember is when we multiply powers that we need to add the exponents. And I want to go over here to the box just for a moment and point out that when we're using the distributive property, what's going to happen here is that we take what's on the outside, the A, and we're going to multiply it by the B. And we take the A, and we're going to multiply it by the C. So A times B is AB. A times C is AC. Now, we can apply that idea down here on our examples. So when we look at example A, to simplify the following completely, we're going to multiply 5 times 3x. 5 times 3 is 15x. Then 5 times 1 is 5. And if you want to get technical, it's positive 5 times negative 1. If we look at the next problem, then we're going to take this negative 2 and we're going to distribute it. So we have to be really careful with our signs, but negative 2 times x squared is negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times positive 5x. Well, negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10, and keep the x in there. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Same idea when we get over here on problem C. We do need to be careful because we're going to have to deal with powers this time. But we're going to take the 3x on the outside and multiply it by the 4x on the inside. We're going to take the 3x on the outside and multiply it by the 8 on the inside. So I just want to point out here, and I'm going to write just a little bit extra here. I'm going to take 3x times 4x minus 3x times 8. Well, when we multiply over here the 3x times 4x, 3 times 4 is 12. Then x times x is x squared. The reason being is that x has an exponent of 1. This also has an exponent of 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. We're adding the exponents. Then our next term, 3x times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. And x. We can take this idea of distributive property and we can combine it here with sometimes what people call FOIL. So it depends on your Algebra 1 teacher, whether you called it double distributive property or FOIL. But if you call it double distributive, we take the x times the x and the x times the 5. There's one set of distribution. And then we take negative 2 times x and negative 2 times 5. And again, it just depends on the teacher whether you used double distributive or FOIL. When we do this, we get x times x, which is x squared, x times 5, and it's positive x times positive 5, which is positive 5x, negative 2 times x, and then negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10. Notice that we have some like terms in here. Both those terms, 5x and the 2x, both have an x in them. And when we have like terms, we add the coefficients. So we end up with x squared plus 3x, because it's positive 5x minus 2x minus 10. Same idea when we get over here to letter B. we're going to take the 2x times the x, 2x times the 6, 1 times the x, 1 times the negative 6. So 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 6. Positive 2x times negative 6. Positive 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Keep the x. 1 times x, both positives, going to be plus 1x. And positive 1 times negative 6 is negative 6. First, outer, inner, last, if you prefer, otherwise double distributive property. But once again, what we have is we have like terms. Both of those terms that I underlined have x's in them. The 2x squared is not going to change, but this is going to be negative 12 plus 1, which is negative 11x minus 6. One more example. Again, I still hope that this is review. Sometimes we just need a refresher. But when we take a look at this one, we're going to take the 3x times the 2x, the 3x times the 5, the negative 8 times 2x, and the negative 8 times the negative 5. 3x times 2x, remember when we multiply with powers, we have to add the exponents. So 3 times 2 is 6, x times x is x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x. Negative 8 times 2x is negative 16x. And I'm running out of space here, but negative 8 times negative 5 is positive 40. So I'll try to write this a little bit better now. Here, I'll give myself some more space. But we've got 6x squared minus 15x minus 16x plus 40. Still chunk myself on space, but we can finish this. The negative 15x and the negative 16x are like terms. So we get 6x squared minus 31x, and then I'll get my 40 written in there correctly. So as we get close to finishing here, we just need to be careful with the powers. But as we take a look at this one, we're still doing that double distributive or FOIL, depending on how you learned it. So we get 4x squared times x, which is 4x cubed. Just writing up here above, 4x squared times x. Remember that the exponent on that x is 1. So we're adding those exponents together. Then 4x squared times negative 7. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28 x squared. 3 times x is 3x. And then 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. And we actually are finished with that problem because we do not have any like terms. X cubed is different from x squared, which is different from x. So as we take a look at our last example here, we're going to take a binomial, which is 2 terms. 1, 2 terms, times a trinomial, 3 terms. 1, 2, 3. But it's still going to be a distributive property here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the x, and we're going to multiply it by x squared, the x times the 2x, the x times negative 9. And then we're going to do negative 1 times x squared, negative 1 times 2x, and negative 1 times negative 9. So just go through slowly to keep track of things, but it's x times x squared, which is x cubed. And again, I'm going to write above here, here's the x times the x squared. When there's no exponent written, it's a 1. And we're adding those exponents. 1 plus 2 gives us 3. That's where the 3 came from here. X times 2x is 2x squared. Again, the x times the x, they're both 1s, we're adding those exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. Then x times negative 9 is negative 9x. Going to have a little bit of a spacing problem. I'm going to try to move this down. In fact, I'm not going to even erase it. I'm just going to write it here so I've got better space. X cubed plus 2x squared minus 9x. And now we're going to go and do the next three. I'm going to change colors, maybe just to distinguish between the two. So we're going to take this negative 1, whoops, tried to make it orange, negative 1 times x squared, negative 1 times 2x, negative 1 times negative 9. So this is going to be negative 1x squared. Negative 1 times positive 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 9 is positive 9. And now that I have everything written on one line here, that'll be a little bit more helpful because we can now look at like terms. We've got a 2x squared and a 1x squared. Those both have x squareds in them, so they're like terms. So the x cubed, we don't have anything alike with that. But 2x squared minus 1x squared, 2 minus 1 is 1. And technically you don't have to write the 1 in front of the x squared term. The other like terms are here and here. Those both have an x in them. Negative 9x minus 2x is negative 11x. And then the last term that's there is the plus 9. We don't have any like terms with it. And that's what happens when we multiply x minus 1 times x squared plus 2x minus 9.